Hey guys, welcome back to Music Talk with John. Today I'm continuing through my record collection and I'm focusing on an individual artist. This episode will be split into two parts, so this week and next week you'll see both parts of that. This is an artist who has recorded about 39 studio albums, written over probably 500 songs, and has had his songs covered by more than 2,000 artists. And he's released about 95 singles, and he has released also about 16 what's called the bootleg series of his albums. Basically, that's all the outtakes and alternate takes and things like that from his albums. So I'm talking about none other than Bob Dylan over here. So like I said, today I'm going to start in the 60s and show you what albums I have. I don't have everything Dylan, but I'll be talking to you about the ones that I do. And in the next video, I'll be talking about everything from there, probably like the 70s up to the current day, his most recent album. So let's do this. Sit back, kick your feet up, and let's talk Bob Dylan. Okay, so we're talking Bob Dylan. Today I'll be covering 7 of his albums from the 60s, starting from his very first album where it came out in 1962 and Bob was about 20 years old. This is a self-titled album, Bob Dylan, and this is it says monoroll, so I think this is a mono version. Yeah, monoroll, so it has to be a mono version of this album. This is strictly a folk album. Featuring acoustic and harmonica, and that's it. There was just Bob and his guitar, his vocals, and the harmonica. Most of these songs on here are cover songs, mostly traditional folk songs, but there are 2 songs that he actually wrote on here, and it really shows you the beginnings of what he would be as a writer. The first one's Talk in New York, and then the second one's Song to Woody, which is a song to one of his influences, Woody Guthrie. So it goes right in with the rest of it. You can see where his skills are. Talking New York is really cool, kind of gives you an insight of New York at the time, and as an artist is what the feeling that I get from that. For him to just carry this album with an acoustic guitar and harmonica, and you can say what you will about his voice. I would say his vocals are fine on this album. I don't have any issues with him. And there's always good stories and all that, so he can really fill out a song, and it really shows the artist that he is. Like I said, because he just mainly used an acoustic guitar and some harmonica and his voice to carry this. There are 13 songs on here. He does do a version of House of the Rising Sun, which I like. It's definitely way different than the Animals version, but I do like this one. It's really cool. And Man of Constant Sorrow's on here also. So it's just a good album, good folk album, and it's the beginning of Bob Dylan's career. So like I said, he's 20 years old right there. Look how young he is. It's pretty amazing. Here's the album too. This is a re-release, so it's not an original Columbia 6i, but it is a reissue album. But it's kind of cool that they did redo the 6i there. The next one I have here is the Freewheelin Bob Dylan. This is his second album, came out in 1963. And he sort of did a reversal where the last album he did mostly covers and only 2 songs. This one, he is all his music except for 2 covers. So he kind of reversed it, I guess. So on here is featured mostly acoustic and harmonica, except for 1 song. And it's interesting, Karina Karina, he actually brought in a bass and drums on that song. So it's interesting that he would have mostly acoustic album with harmonica, and then just 1 song go, okay, let's throw bass and drums on this, and it's not even like the last song either. So it's interesting how they make those decisions, I guess. Why wouldn't you just have a full album with drums or whatever? So anyway, this is the original master recording, so this is a MoFi record. It sounds great. Most MoFis, or all MoFis, sound great in my eyes. Never come across a bad one. And I know there is the controversy that's going out right now with MoFi and using digital sources and all that, but I'll kind of go over that in another video with you. Give you my opinion on that. Briefly, I'll just say, people get caught up in their music and what source it came from, and what system and all that, and these just details that really take you away from doing what you're really supposed to do in my eyes, and that's just put the album on and enjoy it. So anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole MoFi thing. Anyway, Bob Dylan, 1963, the Freewheelin Bob Dylan. Blowing in the Wind is the first song on here, because so you can see already he's on his way to be a great storyteller, lyricist. He also put Girl from North Country on here, and Masters of War. I mean, to be in his early 20s and write a song like that is just somebody who's just really in touch with society, and I guess he read a lot of newspapers and absorbed it and was able to write about it. I Don't Think Twice, It's All Right is on here. A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. So it starts off almost as a greatest hits album. So there you go. You got the Freewheelin Bob Dylan, like I said, second album, 1963. Then an album that really, I think, changed it for him, really brought him out there. And just the title alone tells you what this is about. And this is The Times They Are a-Changin. Came out in January of 1964. This is his first album with all original material, and it's mostly acoustic, harmonica, and then he throws some piano in there. I think it's the Ballad of Hollis Brown, I believe, is the song where it's all piano based, because I think it was the second song on there. But it starts off with The Times They Are a-Changin', and goes into the Ballad of Hollis Brown, with God on Our Side, which is a great song. You really have to listen to the lyrics on that. It's talking about all these things we've done as a country, and all these acts of war and all these things that we do, and God was on our side the whole time. And it's sort of, I think, a questioning song, because the very last part of it, he's talking about Jesus and Judas. And, Jesus was supposed to be betrayed by a kiss to save humanity. And, Judas betrayed him with that kiss. And Dylan's going, was God on his side? Whose side was he on? So it makes you think. And he says, I'm not going to think for you, just kind of puts it out there. What else is on here? I know there's a Pawn in Their Game, great song. I forgot the politician that this was about, but this is talking about how politics and things you see today, where just false information and things come out, and it just messes with people's heads, and they causes people to do things that they probably normally wouldn't have, but they've been fed so much information all the time that they do things, and that's what it is, like being a pawn in the game. So really great songs as far as a reflection of man and what was going on, and to see this in the 60s being talked about and seeing where we are today, just the times they are changing, but some things don't change. And that's it. In the Ballad of Hollis Brown and With God on Our Side, I know With God on Our Side, the Neville Brothers covered it, and I think they did the Ballad of Hollis Brown. And if I remember that correctly, that song's about a guy with a starving family, and he has to go to drastic measures, basically because they're just starving to death. So it's not a very happy song, but it really is an eye-opener as far as some things people have to go through. So anyway, Bob Dylan, Times They Are a-Changin'. That's the third one. And then we get to the fourth album. This is the fourth release by Bob Dylan. Another side of Bob Dylan. This came out in the same year as The Times They Are a-Changin'. It came out in August of 1964. And this kind of gets away from his more socially conscious style that he had on the previous album, especially The Times They Are a-Changin'. So that this is the one where he started getting some flack. This one features a lot of acoustic and harmonica again, but there is... Actually, I did get this mixed up with the other one. So this is the one where there's piano on a song called Black Crow Blues. And I believe that is the second song on this album. Let's see. Yeah, it was this album that it's a mainly piano-based song, and he's singing with it. So this song, this album has, let's see, what's the big stuff on here? I don't know if there was My Back Pages, which was covered by the Byrds. That's on here. And... It Ain't Me, Babe, which is a really great song too, and Johnny Cash covered that at one point. But every song on here is great. It sounds good. This album is in stereo. It's 180 gram, and it's on We Are Vinyl. So this is a really good sounding album. I've been fortunate enough to come across basically used copies of these things sounding really good on good source, good pressing companies. And so it's really cool that I have these copies. The back of it here has all the lyrics right there on the back, and all these albums are, Dylan doesn't get fancy, which is fine. It's cool. These are all black on black vinyl, and this one has the protected inside. That's why it's only reason why it's on the paper album cover. Then we have Bob Dylan, Bringing It All Back Home. And this came out in March of 1965. So this album is half electric, half acoustic. And this is where he started getting some flack, but not really until the next album after this did he really, people didn't like where he was going with it. And it was somewhere in 65, I believe, where he played a festival and brought out, he started it acoustic and then brought out electric, and people did not like that. They're like, you're betraying your art, you're not a folk singer, you know, so they didn't like it. But this one here, Bringing It All Back Home, March of 1965, and this is basically the first time he recorded with a full band. This is, to me, where rock and roll meets folk. It's you know, it's still, his vocals are out there, and the band is back a little bit, I think, but it works really well with the way they recorded it. And there's a song on here, Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, and I always thought he was like high as a kite when he did that song and just started laughing. But what I found out, I looked it up, because at the beginning of Bob Dylan's 115th Dream, he starts cracking up hysterically. And again, I thought that's, you know, he was high as a kite. But what I found out is he started the song and the band missed their cue, so they didn't come in, and he just kept playing. And then they kind of said, "Hey, Bob," you know, and he just started cracking up. So he's probably obviously in a good mood that day. So Bringing It All Back Home, I did read something. They had different albums here, and I think this was one of the wife of one of the executives for the company, and looks like Joan Baez is on here too. Yeah, there's Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg is right there too, and he was a poet that Dylan was very influenced by also. So we have Subterranean Homesick Blues on this. Johnny's in the basement, you know, getting out medicine, and it's that famous video where he's just holding up signs and, you know, like this, and just moving it, and it's just going through the different parts of the song, different highlights of it. Maggie's Farm is cool. Love Minus Zero, No Limit is a great song. Mr. Tambourine Man, there you go. I think the Byrds covered that one too. I think they covered that one. Gates of Eden is good, and It's All Right Mom, Only Bleeding. I heard that song when I was way back when I was working at a grocery store, and I worked nights, and I would listen to, I had a radio playing. Actually, I was in the produce department, had a radio playing there, and it played these Sunday nights. It was called Reelin' in the Years, and that's how I kind of became familiar with Steely Dan, only by that song. But anyway, one of the songs they played on there that caught me was this It's All Right Ma, I'm Only Bleeding, and a friend of mine also liked it too. And when we were teenagers, we actually sat down one time, and we had it on, I don't know if it was on CD yet or tape, but we sat down and actually wrote out every line of the song. So it's a cool song and just good lyrical change in there. I don't even know why we did that, but it's a nice memory that I have. And then It's All Over Now, Baby Blue, which is a great song. That pretty much wraps up the album right there. So this is Bob Dylan kind of making that change from acoustic to electric, and some people were not digging that. Next one we have here, and this is where he went full force, rock and roll. We're talking full band on all tracks except for, I think, the last song, Desolation Row, where it's an acoustic song. And yeah, full band. And then I noticed there was some organ in here, especially right in the beginning. You have Like a Rolling Stone was the first song on this. This one is in stereo, I believe. Yeah, sure. And black vinyl, protected sleeve. There's the back cover of it. And I really thought Dylan knew, he's not a dumb man, obviously. He's a very thought man who thinks, I believe. And he knew he had to get away from the folk thing, I believe, because after the second album, yeah, those are cool, whatever, but I don't know how long he could have kept that up just doing the acoustic thing. So him slowly incorporating, I don't know if he did that on purpose, not to freak people out, and just slowly brought in band. Maybe that's why he did it on Karina. He slowly started bringing in the band and doing those things. And by this album right here, he's like, here I am. But I really think he needed to do that to continue his career. Because, again, I don't know how long he could have continued with just the acoustic and folk thing and the harmonica. And this is another one. See, here I am, like, thinking Bob Dylan's, all this drug stuff going on, like him laughing on the other album. I always thought just right here, what he's holding, I always thought it was like, device to smoke marijuana. But I read up on this also, and he's actually sitting on the front step of somebody's house, and he's holding sunglasses. So, and that's where my mind is. So, and he's kind of got a look on his face like, here I am, take it or leave it. This is the new Bob Dylan with my rock and roll band. And there he is on there too, with an electric guitar. So he was definitely going through a change on that. So it starts off with like a Rolling Stone, goes into Tombstone Blues, which I love. Mr. Jones, Takes a Lot to Laugh. It Takes a Train to Cry. Ballad of a Thin Man. Don't just get my songs mixed up. Which one's Mr. Jones? Yeah, put it in the comments. I forgot which ones do you, Mr. Jones. Oh, man. Why am I getting Tombstone Blues and Ballad of a Thin Man mixed up? But anyway. Queen Jane Approximately, Highway 61 Revisited, and just like Tom Thumb's Blues. So another great, solid album. I love all these Dylan albums, and I liked going through this again and getting familiar with these albums, just to see, it gives you perspective as far as how his career progressed. Like, I didn't notice how he had done that as far as going from a folk singer with just acoustic and harmonica into, rock and roll Bob Dylan. And this is not even as experimental as he eventually got, but this is the beginnings of it. So it's really cool to see how he grew and how aware he probably was of what he needed to do to keep that career going. All right, so the last one I have here is a great album. A lot of people consider it his masterpiece. This came out in 1966, and this is Blonde on Blonde. Now, this is actually right here is how the album is supposed to be set. It's not like this. Oh, sorry. Like that, because the opening's actually right here. So if you see that, you can see it opens up right there on the gatefold. And then what they do here is you take that, and there you got a nice big picture of Bob Dylan. So interesting that they went sideways with the picture on that one. And I also have it here, and I'm going to do an episode on this one here. This is actually the Mo-Fi box set of this album. So, and I'm going to do a comparison also, because this is just basically, this one's a basic reissue of it, and that being Mo-Fi, it should sound a lot better. So I'm going to do a comparison. I have a couple more albums I want to do that with eventually. So like I said, here you go. You got Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde, and let's see, they're not going to give me the song titles on here, but this is just classic, just good rock and roll album by Dylan, really getting into the rock and roll thing. This is a mono version of it. And let's see, the songs on here are, Rainy Day Women, 12 and 35, that one, and Everybody Must Get Stoned, that one right there, Pledging My Time, Visions of Johanna, One of Us Must Know. I mean, man, this whole album is just awesome. I Want You, somebody covered that, I forgot who did that one. Memphis Blues Again, Leopard Skin, Pillbox Hat, and Just Like a Woman. She laughs just like a woman, she cries just like a woman. That's a great song. So you could have stopped there, but this is, I'm pretty sure this was released as a double album, so this would have been Bob Dylan's first double album. And the rest of the song was, okay, it's interesting. So side one of the second album is Most Likely, You Go Your Way, and I'll Go Mine, Temporary, like Achilles, Absolutely, Sweet Marie, Fourth Time Around, obviously Five Believers, and the second side of this has just one song. It's Sad Eyed Lady of the Lowlands. So these are on black vinyl, Columbia label. Nice reissue, but I am looking forward to doing that comparison to this box set here and really see, because MoFi puts out quality stuff, so I'm at least expecting a nice quality record. And I have a decent record player with a nice needle on it, so I'm gonna really see if I really hear a difference in MoFi, or if, my equipment's good for just reissues and things like that. So I'm going to really put my equipment to the test and see. So that's the last one I have for you right there. So that's Bob Dylan. Like I said, there's going to be a second video on him going from the 70s and on. I don't have his stuff with the Dead, and I'm missing his, like, the trilogy there that he did of religious albums. I don't have any of those, but I have the ones that basically I've come across and been able to add to my collection, and there's probably a couple more I want to put in there, so I need to do a little more research. But anyway, until that next video, I appreciate you watching, and definitely please hit that like button, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'm getting my subscribers up there a bit. I just had a really good turnout for my Van Halen one. If you haven't seen that, check that out, where I found an issue with the Van Halen album, Walmart release. And definitely leave me some comments. I've really enjoyed that part. I got tons of people commenting on that, really nice people, and give me suggestions saying try that, look at this, and a lot of cool things. So I just loved interacting with the vinyl community, so definitely do that. So do all those things, and until next time, you enjoy your music and take care.